The story of Joshua begins in a moment of transition for the nation of Israel. After years of wandering in the wilderness, the Israelites stood on the brink of fulfilling a promise that God had made to their ancestors, to inherit the land flowing with milk and honey. However, the leader who had guided them, Moses, had passed away, and the responsibility of leading this vast, sometimes rebellious nation now rested on the shoulders of a younger man, Joshua. Joshua was not new to leadership or faith. As Moses' assistant, he had seen God's power firsthand. He was one of the 12 spies sent to scout the land of Canaan decades earlier, and along with Caleb, had boldly declared that Israel could conquer the land despite its challenges. His faith had earned him God's favor, and now he was chosen to lead Israel into the promised land. But this was no ordinary task. Joshua had to overcome fortified cities, unite a diverse and often quarrelsome people, and rely wholly on God's guidance. His story is one of trust, perseverance, and the fulfillment of God's promises. Join us as we explore Joshua's remarkable journey, from his commissioning as Moses' successor to his victories in the Promised Land. Let us walk alongside Joshua as he leads the Israelites into a land of promise, a journey filled with miracles, challenges, and faith. Joshua first appears in the Bible as a warrior. In Exodus 17:8-16, he leads the Israelites in battle against the Amalekites. While Moses stands on a hill with his hands raised in prayer, Joshua commands the army and secures victory, marking him as a brave and capable leader. From that moment, he became a close aide to Moses, learning directly from him. Joshua was chosen to accompany Moses partway up Mount Sinai when God gave the 10 Commandments, Exodus 24:13, and was often present during critical moments, such as when Moses spoke with God in the tent of meeting, Exodus 33:11. This close mentorship prepared Joshua for the immense responsibility he would later bear. After Moses' death, Joshua mourned alongside the Israelites, but God spoke to him, saying, "Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them." God's words to Joshua were both a commission and a promise. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Encouraged, Joshua began preparing the Israelites for their journey into the Promised Land. Before crossing the Jordan River, Joshua sent 2 spies into Jericho, the first city they would encounter. The spies entered Jericho and stayed at the house of Rahab, a woman who, despite her past, recognized the power of Israel's God. When the king of Jericho heard about the spies, Rahab hid them on her roof under stalks of flax. She told the spies, "I know that the Lord has given you this land. The terror of you has fallen upon us." In exchange for her help, the spies promised to protect Rahab and her family during the conquest of Jericho. They instructed her to tie a scarlet cord in her window as a sign for her household to be spared. With Jericho on the horizon, Joshua prepared the people to cross the Jordan River. God instructed the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant to step into the water first. As their feet touched the river, the waters stopped flowing, creating a dry path. The entire nation crossed safely. To commemorate this miraculous event, Joshua ordered 12 men to take stones from the riverbed and set them up as a memorial at Gilgal. "This will be a sign among you," Joshua said. "When your children ask, 'What do these stones mean?' you will tell them how the Lord stopped the waters of the Jordan." As the Israelites camped near Jericho, Joshua had a mysterious encounter. A man with a drawn sword appeared before him. "Are you for us or for our enemies?" Joshua asked. "Neither," the man replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." Realizing he was in the presence of a divine messenger, Joshua fell to the ground in worship. This encounter assured Joshua that God was with him in the battles to come. Jericho was a city with massive walls, seemingly impenetrable. But God had a unique plan for its conquest. For 6 days, march around the city once each day, God commanded. On the 7th day, march around it 7 times. Then the priests will blow their trumpets, and the people will shout. The walls will collapse. For 6 days, the Israelites marched silently around Jericho. On the 7th day, they marched 7 times. As the trumpet sounded and the people shouted, the walls of Jericho crumbled. The Israelites charged into the city and claimed their first victory in the Promised Land. True to their promise, Rahab and her family were spared. Flush with victory, the Israelites moved to attack the smaller city of Ai, but to their shock, they were defeated. Joshua fell before God, seeking answers. "There is sin among you," God revealed. "Someone has taken what was forbidden." Through God's guidance, Joshua discovered that Achan had stolen treasures from Jericho. After Achan confessed, justice was carried out, and God's favor returned to Israel. This time, using a clever ambush strategy, Joshua led the Israelites to a decisive victory over Ai. News of Israel's victories spread, and 5 Amorite kings united to attack Gibeon, a city allied with Israel. Joshua led his army to defend Gibeon, marching all night to catch the enemy by surprise. During the battle, Joshua prayed a bold prayer. "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon over the valley of Ajalon." Miraculously, the sun paused in the sky, extending the day until the Israelites achieved total victory. This extraordinary event demonstrated God's power and his favor on Joshua. As Joshua grew older, he gathered the Israelites for a final address. With wisdom and conviction, he recounted God's faithfulness, from delivering them out of Egypt to giving them the Promised Land. He issued a powerful challenge: "Choose this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." The people, moved by Joshua's unwavering faith, vowed to serve God. Joshua passed away at the age of 110, having fulfilled his divine mission. The story of Joshua is more than history. It is a testament to the power of faith, obedience, and God's unchanging promises. Joshua's courage came not from his own strength, but from his absolute trust in God's word. His life reminds us that when God calls us to lead, he equips us with his presence and power. Through Joshua, we see the fulfillment of God's promises and the enduring truth that victory belongs to those who walk in faith.